In the dead of winter, when the world holds its breath beneath a blanket of snow, something small and trembling was left behind. Not in a shelter, not with a note, just abandoned. On the edge of a frozen forest, wrapped in a threadbare towel, a tiny puppy, no more than 8 weeks old, shivered with a fear too deep for tears. She was waiting for hands that would never return. The night swallowed her whole. Snow fell like ash. Every gust of wind carried the promise of oblivion. She curled into herself, her little heartbeat fluttering like a trapped bird. And still, she waited, because that's what the innocent do. They believe, even when the world betrays them. Morning came, cold and gray. Frost clung to her fur like a shroud, but she was alive. Barely. A tiny miracle wrapped in desperation. Then, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, crunching through the snow. A man appeared. Not young, not old, just weary. His coat hung heavy with the weight of years he never asked for. He'd come to the woods to escape the noise of his own grief, recent, raw, and unbearable. His wife was gone. His home was hollow. His heart, a locked room with no key. He saw her, and for a moment, time stopped. She didn't bark, didn't whimper. She just looked at him with eyes that held the kind of sorrow only the abandoned understand. He knelt, not out of pity but recognition, because in that small, shivering creature, he saw himself. He gently scooped her up, wrapped her in his coat, and carried her home, not knowing he was saving himself as much as her. He named her Ember, not for the fire she carried, but for the spark she might one day reignite in his own life. The first nights were hard. She flinched at sudden movements and hid under furniture. She wouldn't eat from her bowl unless he sat beside her, silent and unmoving. Trust, once shattered, doesn't return with a kind word. It returns in fragments, earned in shared glances, in quiet moments, in the slow, hesitant unfurling of a tale after weeks of fear. He didn't push. He simply stayed, and slowly she began to breathe again. Then came the day everything changed. It was spring, the snow had melted, and birds had returned to the trees. He sat on the porch, staring into the distance, lost in memories that wouldn't let him go. Ember lay at his feet, no longer trembling, no longer hiding, just present. A car backfired down the street. She bolted, but not away. She ran toward him. She leaped into his lap, pressed her body against his chest, and let out a low, steady whine, not of fear, but of protection, as if to say, "I'm here. You're not alone." That was the moment the dam broke. He wept. Not quietly, not politely, but with the kind of soul-shaking release that only comes when you realize you've been drowning, and someone just threw you a rope you didn't even know you needed. From then on, they healed together. He started walking again, taking long hikes through the woods with Ember always a step ahead, her nose to the wind, her tail held high like a banner. She taught him to notice things again, the way sunlight filters through new leaves, the sound of rain on the roof, the simple warmth of a shared blanket on a quiet evening. And in return, he gave her what she'd been denied: safety, consistency, and love without conditions. But life, even when it softens, never stops testing us. One autumn afternoon, while hiking a familiar ridge, the ground gave way beneath him. A hidden sinkhole. Old, unstable, hungry. He fell 10 feet into darkness, his leg twisted beneath him, the pain sharp and blinding. His phone shattered. His voice grew hoarse from calling for help. Night fell fast. And Ember? She didn't run for help. She didn't leave his side. Instead, she curled around him, pressing her body against his, sharing her warmth through the long, freezing hours. When thirst clawed at his throat, she licked his face, gentle, persistent, urging him to stay awake. When despair whispered that no one would come, she growled, not at the darkness, but at the thought of losing him. She stayed. For 36 agonizing hours, she stayed. Until a search party, led by neighbors who'd noticed his absence, followed the sound of her barking, constant, urgent, and unwavering, deep into the woods. They found him alive, because of her, in the hospital, his leg in a cast, His ribs bruised but his spirit unbroken, he looked at the veterinarian who had checked Ember over and said simply, "She saved me." The vet smiled. "No," she said, "you saved each other?" Years have passed now. The man walks with a slight limp, but his eyes are clear. His home is full, not just with photos of his late wife, but with dog beds, chew toys, and the quiet, comforting rhythm of a shared existence. Ember is older now. Her muzzle is gray, her steps a little slower. But her eyes, those eyes still hold the same quiet courage that stared down a winter storm and refused to blink. They say animals don't understand time, but they understand loyalty. They understand presence. They understand the language of the heart when words fail. This isn't just a story about a dog who was rescued. It's about a truth we often forget, that sometimes the ones we think we're saving are the ones who save us. In a world that moves too fast, that discards what it deems broken or inconvenient, Ember was left to die, but she chose to live. And in doing so, she gave a broken man a reason to do the same. So the next time you see a stray animal, eyes wide, body thin, spirit flickering like a candle in the wind, remember this story. You're not just looking at an animal, you're looking at a second chance. For them. And maybe, just maybe, for you. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that celebrates the incredible bond between humans and animals. We'll see you next time.